Hi folks, Steve here. We are going to today look at exporting our audio as OMF so that we can take it into Audition and do further audio sweetening there. So I have a sequence here. It has some audio in it that was accompanying a couple of our files, and this might be something after we're done that we would want to take out. So what I want to do first of all, because in order to take out or export as OMF, we need to transcode this so that this video and audio that is an AMA link is actually created and available to us. So I'm going to create a new bin. So I click here on New Bin, and I'm going to name that bin OMF Export. Okay, and I'm just going to move this bin down here so that it's easily accessible to us. And I'm going to take my current sequence, which is this chroma key sequence, and I'm going to duplicate it by right-clicking and choosing Duplicate. Okay, I'm going to call it OMF Export Sequence. And then I'm going to move it into the new bin I just created. Okay, that way when I transcode this, it'll all show up in there. Okay, so I'm going to right-click now, choose Consolidate Transcode, make sure I set this to transcode, that I do it to the drive that I want to work on. I'm going to include some handles so that if I want to do some additional crossfading, that will work. And we're just going to go from there. I could convert my audio if I hadn't already set it up properly to 48 and 16-bit. Okay, so I'm going to transcode this. This will take a little while to write, so just a reminder that the reason we're doing this is so that we can take our audio that's here in place after we've locked our video, and we can export it, have it in place in Audition so that we can add our custom music to it. We can add some Foley. If there's some additional voiceover that wasn't kind of captured as on-camera audio, we might want to add that as well. Or some stock sound effects, or sound effects that we've recorded separately, which in a sense is Foley. So we've got 4 to 5, and we're just going to wait for a little while longer to get both of these to go. Now, when they're done, they are all going to show up over here under OMF Export because it's creating these files. Okay, so there we go. So this audio now exists as a written file, not just a link, and we need to do that in order to export it. Now, I'm first going to show you something that's not going to quite work, which is if we want to export this new sequence, which is right here, then if we right-click and export is just outside my recording area, but I'll just go down there, you'll find export. It's pretty easy. And I just want to show you that our OMF option isn't available at an HD setting. So I'm going to click Options here. I'm not going to worry about where I'm going to save this yet because I have to cancel out of here. And here's my export settings. And right under here, this is where we want to find our OMF export. But all that is available to us is AAF, which would allow us to take this out into another Avid product called Pro Tools to do our audio sweetening there. But we don't have Pro Tools on our systems, so we're going to use Audition. Okay? And so I'm going to cancel out of this. And I'm going to cancel out of this. And the way that we get this out of HD is just to temporarily change the format. So here's our format, 720p, and I'm just going to change it to 30i NTSC. You notice that does cause some of our stuff to no longer be available to us as a transcoded product, but we're actually just going to put the audio out right now, and when we do put the video out, we're going to put it out at a smaller setting. So here is right click again and down to that export that's just outside your view. And I want to make sure that I'm inside my project window. And I think you can see, or sorry, my project folder. Here's my project folder, Compositing 101, where I've got my AMA linking files. My Avid files are in here, my Avid project file. And so I'm going to make sure I'm inside this project folder. So I'm going to create a new folder for the audio. I'll call it OMF audio for post. Okay. So that creates my folder, and I'll come back and rename this in a second. So right now I just want to show you quickly that if I hit options, I now have the option, and this was send to QuickTime Movie, by the way, for 2 versions of OMF. And we'll use the latest version, OMF 2. We'll click include all audio tracks in the sequence. The export method, because you might want to send this off to someone else, should be consolidate media. Again, you can specify some frames as handles if you want. So there's another 2 seconds there. And it's very important that you use this embedded in OMF. Okay, there are some other options here, and they do cause a different number of options to be up here. But I'm going to choose embed in OMF. That way all my audio will be inside that file. I click save, it comes back here, and now I'm going to name my file. So I'll call it audio for post, and I'll click save. And what it should have done was save an OMF file. Here's my OMF audio for post, and here's my audio for post OMF. Okay, so that's exported nicely. Now I'm going to export a reference video to go along with it so that people, you, or if you were handing it off to someone, could sync the audio up to the video. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this original sequence here, and I'm going to right click and click export again. Again, it's just outside your field of view, but just continue down there. And this time we're going to send to QuickTime, and we're going to go to options. This time we do want a QuickTime movie, not a QuickTime reference movie, but a QuickTime movie. And we're going to choose a custom format because we want to make this smaller in case we do have to send it off, just so it's not so taxing in our audio program as well. And what I like to choose if I choose QuickTime Movie is Avid DV as my reference. I keep the frames current. Often I'll turn this up to best, but this is a balancing file quality with file size. And when I click options here, you can see that this is going to give us the 25 megabit per second codec, which is what we want. Because otherwise it's going to be 75 megabits, which is going to be 3 times the amount of information. So I'm just going to click OK here, and I'm going to click OK here, and I'm just going to go into my size and make sure I set those as well. So this, even though I've chosen NTSC DV, it is 16 by 9, so I want to make sure I choose that. Preserve the aspect ratio via letterboxing if you have to, and deinterlace the source video because we're going to be playing it back on computer. So I'll just click OK there. And now we're good to go for this. And I'll just move down here. I only want the video. And this 720 by 480 is the proper size for DV video. So just be careful if you go in here. You might be tempted by this, but even if you come in and look, when you head out again, it switches this to crop/pad. So switch that back to size to fit. Okay, and it's asking for a field order now, but we don't really have to worry about that. And down here we've got our 16 by 9 square pixels. So this is where you want to make it square pixels, not up here. Okay, So we're going to click Save, and I'm going to call this Reference Movie for Audio. And I'm going to put it into my same OMF Audio for Post folder. Okay, so I click Save. It is now exporting that file for me. And once it's done, we will go over to Audition and bring both of these in. The other thing we're going to want to do probably when this is done is make sure we come back over here and switch this back, just in case, you know, we forget. But you should see that when you export your final video if you do forget. But I want to switch this back just so you can see that all of our lovely transcoding is still there. It's still been done. It's just when we went out of this that it had to go back to the linked videos. Okay, so now I'm going to flip over to Audition, and I'm going to import my OMF. So down here under my File tab, I'm going to right click, go to Import, find my OMF audio. I know where it is. It's in my project folder, so that's Compositing 101. Notice that it actually did make this OMFI media files folder in addition to our Avid media files. But our actual OMF file is in our folder that we created. And here it is right here. So if I open that, you will see that it wants to extract the audio out of that file. So just so it doesn't fill this up too much, I'm just going to put a new folder here, and I'm going to put extracted audio. So those files will nicely be tucked in. They're still inside my project folder. Okay, it's going to extract those files out, and here they are. And notice that we have our separate clips, our separate channels, and it's actually brought the crossfade over as well. So our fade out at the end of that one clip. So now we just need our reference movie in. So we're going to right click and import our reference movie, which is right here, reference movie for audio. I'll open that up. And this is a little weird because you might think you drag it up to the video window here, but it won't let you. You actually drag it over here into your editor, and it creates a video track, and there's your video. And when you play it back, you get your video that you can sync stuff with, and you get your audio as well. Okay, so that is exporting OMF to bring your stuff from Avid into Audition.